Security, escort this gentleman out, please.
Come on, Soda Pop, let's go.
Hi, Bruce Danielson, Sioux Falls. I just had a little awakening last Wednesday, and I decided to just let everybody kind of catch up on what's been happening since Wednesday. We've been, a group of us have decided to have some fun and get some work done and help out the city in this effort to do a petition drive to put on the, to take this office building to a public vote. And I thought I would let everybody know at this point that I don't have an exact count on any numbers right now, but we're actually looking at a preliminary guess of we could have upwards of 1,500 in the last 3 days. We have already been, I've already put out about 11,000 signature lines. People have been asking for them. I spent the weekend delivering these packets right here to people all over town. And I was up till 11:30 last night delivering yet. And I want to tell you, yesterday morning in the first 38 minutes at the administration building, we had 60 signatures. I had 8 clipboards running at the same time. I ran out of pens, and people were pulling pens out of their own pockets. In 44 years of doing petition drives, I have never seen such an outpouring of people searching for us. We have people assuming we're going to be at the administration building, and they're searching for us. And when they walk up to us, they just grab the petition from us, and they end up taking that petition and wanting to sign it. And I don't think I could hold the petition back from some of the people that have been signing it. You people up here at the dais and the people of Sioux Falls, right now I was trying to do a count of people who have been refusing to sign the petition because of either alliance to certain people or thought process and so on. But right now, the best I can guess is between 9 and 10 want to sign the document and 1 will refuse. That's some pretty heavy percentages of people that want some kind of a decision to fit this. So I have asked Jim to put this up, and I just want you to know that in this whole process, we've been stressing we're not opposed to a needed office building. We're not opposed to any individuals. All we're asking is this petition stops the use of sales tax revenue bonds for this project. This building, the misconception that many people have had, and we tried to stress that in the news conference yesterday, that this is not replacing the current city hall. You people on the city council and the previous city councils have never approved this building. And I know that this is upsetting people that I'm bringing this forward, and I'm working very hard to do this. And we're going to be announcing some major signing events this weekend, and we are going to have some large turnouts, and we're going to be starting to collect the petitions so that by next week, we should have some pretty good round numbers on what's going on. And anybody can contact me. My contact information is out there, freely available for anybody to work with. And I thank you for your time, and I thank you to the people of Sioux Falls for making this just the most amazing experience I've ever had in petition gathering. Thank you.
Folks, if it involves the city administration building, as I discussed right from the get-go, that topic is coming up later on. Council Chair Rolfing, certainly asked me to, be cognizant of the fact that I didn't mention that. Council Chair, my apologies. He was in it.
Topic that came up. Yeah.
Yes, I understand, and so cognizant of that. Councilors, my apologies. We'll deal with it, and we'll move on. Folks, again, if it involves the administration building, that topic is coming up. It is item number 36. Okay, we'll get to that. I swear it's coming. So if you wouldn't mind holding off your comments on that until that time. Welcome, sir.
Dan Daly,
Hi, Dan.
I'm ashamed to say, a citizen of Sioux Falls. Mr. Rolfing, I remove my hat out of respect. You're welcome. This petition process is invaluable. I'm not going to talk about the administration building.
Thanks, Dan.
There are some other things. Home rule charter is unconstitutional, and I believe this petition process could be used to force you to do something about it. For one thing, the city cannot enforce its ordinances. You have a 3 citation process. It's double jeopardy. I can get those cases dismissed every day. I'm not even a lawyer. I think the best thing to do would be a petition with 1 citation and a mandatory hearing of 5 city directors, and then go to court. We don't want you destroying our property values like you did at McKinnon Park. Otherwise, another petition, and there's an office now at the 300 building, and it should remain open permanently. Another petition could be a $2,000 booking and intake fee every time someone's arrested. There's been false arrests. I know someone who just spoke who was falsely arrested. There are others. Those that do not comply with the citation process get a disturbing the peace. I'm tired of the roundups before the weekend of indigent people we need to take care of. Perhaps another petition. That's all I got to say.
Dan, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Welcome.
I'm Roger Algersma. I seen the paper a couple of weeks ago that you were considering the possibility of some limitation or have to sign in before we could speak here. And we used to have to sign in, and I think if people think through what they're going to say before they get here is proper, if we're going to take all your time. And so I didn't mind signing in. The only time I think people shouldn't sign in is if a whole group comes and only a few are going to talk instead of everybody repeating themselves. And if someone else comes in and says something that's not true, or it's only half the truth to steer something, I think someone should be able to correct the problem instead of waiting a week, so that you don't vote on something with not good quality information. The one method that I was kind of disgusted with as far as suggesting someone shouldn't come here. Twice the library cop came to me in the downtown library. The first time didn't concern me much. He says, I was watching TV and I seen you talking in City Hall. What are you doing in City Hall? Well, it could be taken either what right do I have here or what was I doing when I was here. So I explained, I says, what was I talking about? Oh, he didn't hear, he didn't know. So I explained what I'd said the last time I was here, and then he left and went on his route around the library. And then about a month ago, which is a couple months after the first time, he comes to me and he says, I heard this rumor, I'm wondering if you know if it's true. He says, the mayor hit somebody in the face in City Hall. Did you hear that? I said, no. And he said, well, but did you hear about that? I said, well, it would have probably come in the news, and I didn't hear the news. And he was still wondering if I'd heard about it, and I said, well, maybe he just bumped somebody a little. He said, then he switched. He switched from saying he didn't know to, yeah, he punched somebody right in the face, right in City Hall after the meeting. So when he switches the story, I know his credibility isn't what you'd think a cop would be. But he said that you hit him for coming here too often and harassing him. And when I've been coming to City Hall, I take it kind of as a veiled threat that we're not supposed to come here more than, you can count on one hand or something. So when someone, I don't know if he did this on his own or someone told him to. I mean, the guy's past 50, he's around long enough, it wasn't like some young guy didn't know what he's doing. But to be approached like that, and the guy never cared about what I was saying here. You know, it's just, these veiled threats just seemed inappropriate way to influence who comes to City Hall how many times. So I don't know more than that about it. It just seemed inappropriate.
Roger, thank you very much. Appreciate it, sir. Welcome.
Scott Erisman, Sioux Falls. I'll have to agree with Roger there. There's enough intimidation by a lot of people that they don't want to come here and speak, and to put up more rules is not the way to go. I'm all for signing in and writing my name down, but I think that would be the limit of public input. That way the clerks don't have to search for how to spell names, and that would be very helpful for them. But other than that, they should be able to speak about any topic they want to. I want to talk about the very interesting signs over in Spellerberg Park. Midco had an agreement with the city to sponsor the Midco Aquatic Center, and as I understand that agreement, besides paying for some of the signage and some of the stuff on the inside of the building, they are supplementing the operations of the building while the rest of us are picking up that slack. Also, the people who are the main sponsors of the Aquatic Center are you and me, the taxpayers of Sioux Falls. We built the building with our money, Midco did not. They are well within their agreement, if you read their sponsorship agreement, that they can have signs on the building, signs in the building, and an entryway sign, and they all look very nice, and I have to commend Midco for doing a very professional job of the signage. But a lot of people are concerned about the signs that are in the park on 26th Street and 22nd Street, where there's this monster Midco sign, and then underneath it, in really small, it says Spellerberg Park. I've had people go, is Midco sponsoring the entire park? No. Well, why do they have that sign there? So I did some asking around, and as I understand, the team, the special projects team, approved the signage, and they passed it on to the park board, and the park board approved the signage. Now, I'm not totally opposed to the signs. All the parks have signs. If you go by any park, it says there's a Van Epps Park sign, there's a McKinnon Park sign. But why wouldn't we have just did a big sign that said Spellerberg Park and then maybe a small underneath Midco Aquatic Center with an arrow? It just looks like it's really gaudy, and it looks like our park is being sponsored by a corporate entity, and it's no longer a public park. The only thing about the Midco's sponsoring the aquatic center. That's it. They aren't sponsoring mowing the grass, the tennis courts, or anything. Nothing with the park. Those signs should have never got approved. And I don't know how that got slipped through. But it goes back to our concerns with construction manager at risk and how these little things get passed through and the public doesn't get to have an input on it. I think the signs should be taken down, to tell you the truth. They look gaudy and unprofessional. And I think that, we're going to go to McKinnon Park someday and see a big Pepsi-Cola sign up there sponsored by Pepsi-Cola. Or maybe we'll drive by Terrace Park Pool and sponsored by Billion Automotive. I mean, come on. Are we that broke in this town that we got to get sponsorships for our parks? Come on. As for, I was listening today during the budget hearings, and they were talking about there's nothing in the budget to fix Sire, something that's been broke for years. Oh, well, they talked about it. Well, we know it only works on one platform, and that's in Windows. So if you have a Windows computer or Windows, it doesn't work on a phone. So we have no plans on fixing Sire. What concerns me even more as I watch the county meetings. And the city is the county actually just spent $40,000 buying new equipment to record their meetings. And the city is contracted to record these meetings. They can't record those meetings right either. 2 weeks ago, you could barely hear the meeting. Last week, for the first 25 minutes, there was zero audio. So now the city's not only doing their own meetings right, they're contracted to do the county meetings, and those meetings aren't right. And we have central services running these meetings, and they come up here and they want us to take their advice that they fully vetted a city administration building when they can't even record a meeting properly. Something needs to be done there. If I have a little bit of time left, I want to thank Zach DeBoer for volunteering his time to paint a city street. He spent $200 of his own money for spray paint, stood out in a city street painting it. Sounds like a safety issue, doesn't it? I asked him about it. I said, they didn't have any objections to you standing out in the street and spray painting it. He said, yeah, I was surprised. And I said, that's really surprising. And he said, they told me they didn't have the money to spray paint the street. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Robin Mulvey, M-U-L-V-E-Y. I'm not even a resident of Sioux Falls. I apologize for taking your council meeting time. I would first like to take a second to thank Greg Neitzert for responding to an email that was forwarded to all the council members. In July of this year, my daughter and I had tickets to the Sioux Falls Storm game at the Denny Sanford Premier Center. And we went there and were asked to have our purses searched, and my daughter said, why do you need to look at my purse? And they said, because we're checking for firearms, knives, weapons, anything like that. So she just discreetly handed one of the security officers her legal permit to carry a concealed weapon, which she had in her purse. We're not psychos, we're not crazy terrorists, we're not idiots. We just strongly believe in the Second Amendment and our right to bear arms. Because it is a city-owned property, we feel that we were very much within our rights to do so. The gentleman who stopped us said, would you please step this way for a minute? And we said, sure, no problem. And he said, it'll be fine, I just need to call someone and they will verify that your permits are in order and they'll want to know where you're sitting. And we said, oh, we're fine with that. I said, would you like to see mine too? And he said, you too? I said, absolutely. So I showed him my permit and we waited for security and a gentleman came and said, okay, it's fine. Well, I don't know who put a bug in his ear, but we weren't 20 steps down the walkway going towards our seats. And they said, actually, would you come with us? And they pulled us aside. And they called in 2 off-duty police officers who were working as security. And we asked them if they were security or police officers, and they said police officers. We got badge number 726, Detective Redmond, and badge 659, Vandervelde or Vandervelde, I don't know how you pronounce it. The only reason I'm coming here is I tried to go through the police department. I contacted the mayor's office and the city attorney's office, as well as the council, to try and get a little satisfaction on this matter. I had with me a copy of the state law that says a municipality cannot restrict a person's permit to carry on public property. I tried to show the officers this, and they said, nope, we don't care, we can't. And I said, this says right here that you cannot restrict our rights. And the officers insisted they could. I said, well, what gives you the authority? And they said, the city of Sioux Falls. So I proceeded to try and discuss this with them, and they got really rude. The one officer said, we're not going to stand here and discuss this with you. You leave, or go put your weapons in your car, whatever. You're not going to bring them in here. And I looked at my daughter and I said, oh, this is ridiculous. And the one officer, Officer Vandervelde, said, yes, you are. And I said, excuse me? And he said, no, I won't excuse you. I was very upset. That was uncalled for. I said, that was not necessary. And he said, you started it first, as if you were a 4-year-old. I said, I was referring to the situation being ridiculous. I did not get personal. That was not appropriate, and I don't think it was necessary. They then asked for our photo ID, which we did not have to legally provide, but we did. We have nothing to hide. I told my husband later, jokingly, that's probably the most boring background check he's ever run in his life, but serves him right. Anyway, to sum it up, my rights were violated. I did not appreciate it. Some of the emails that I received back from different city officials basically tried to dismiss me and say, well, it wasn't us, we hire a management firm. And my answer to that is you can't just hire away your obligation to support the state law. I am a member of the Elkton City Council. I have been for several years, and the acting president for many of those years. I'm not sure about you, but the oath I took when I was sworn into office was part of it to uphold the laws of the state of South Dakota and the South Dakota Constitution, not just the ones that are convenient or the ones that I approve of. I would appreciate it if the council would discuss this, take this issue up. I believe that my daughter and I are owed a first face-to-face apology from these officers. Instead, we got a response from the police department saying, don't worry, we talked to them and we don't feel like they did anything wrong. So again, we were just dismissed.
Robin, thank you. Folks, anybody else want to engage the council? Welcome. Please come forward. Hi.
My name's Lisa Bass. I apologize. I am running a little late. We were
You're
supposed to
fine,
sign
Lisa.
in.
You're fine. No, you're good.
Just as a parent of an almost 2-year-old, I have had a chance to enjoy the sprinkler park. I'm not quite sure what the name of it is again. What was it called? Pioneer Sprinkler Park. And I was just bringing to the council's attention that I believe there's a need for a city park and rec employee to be on duty or on staff to kind of supervise what's going on there. The hours it's open are from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Sunday. And just some of the things I've witnessed, I've been there 3 times and haven't been back since. The last time I was there, we had a tribal vehicle parking in the no parking area, which blocks the only sloped curb to get up into the park. So witnessing people having to go off curb, off into the parking area to wheel a stroller or what have you. I had another lady I asked, she had a large German Shepherd on a leash, but was allowing it to walk into the park area next to small children and drink from the spouting water where the children are playing. I told her I'm familiar with German Shepherd breeds. I'm not familiar, I didn't approve of that. And I said, that sign says no dogs. She said she had it was like a permit, not a permit, but she had a special condition where she was able to have the dog. I'm not sure what they call it, but like a medical. It was a service dog. She had no paperwork or any documentation. She didn't even have a tag on it, but she said she could take it anywhere. Also that evening, I saw 3 teenage boys that were done playing basketball. They came over. There is a bucket dump that'll dump water. And periodically, the different sprinklers will stop while the other ones will take over or go. And during this time, they were not happy it stopped dumping water, so they started to climb the pole and violently shake it. One of them also had a large gash on his leg, and there was blood running down into the water, and I told them that they both needed to stop. And I got the "you're not our mother." And I said, well, you need to, otherwise I'm going to call the police. And they said, we're doing nothing wrong. So at that point, I just left with my child, plus the smoking issue. Every time I've been there, I've had to ask somebody to not smoke. And I think there's one small sign posted in the park, but I mean, at one point there was a lady walking around the edge. I've had people sit right next to us on the grass and smoke, and I'm very you don't smoke around small children, that's my opinion. But I do think with the budget, they should have enough money for at least one park person to be there. I've been told to call the police. I don't think it's a police matter to take them off of other important issues to come to the park and tell a teenager to stop shaking a pole. So I think with a park and rep person on staff there, that would eliminate some of the issues. So thank you.
Lisa, thank you. Can we just get your last name, please?
It's Bass, B like boy, A-S-S.
Lisa, and Lisa, do you live in Sioux Falls?
I do.
Thank you, Lisa. We'll be in contact with you. Thank you. Thanks for coming tonight. Well, folks, thank you. We appreciate. Ms. Colby, did you want to speak, sir?
Robert Colby. I was on vacation and came back, and the only newspaper that had been delivered was one that commented about public input, and thought I might give you some general information and a little background. When on the county commission, we used to have 2 people who would come and listen to what the meetings were about, and they even came to the city council meeting, and they were Ralph Morris and Dutch Lose. Probably none of you know those 2 gentlemen. Ralph was the president of the unions at John Morrell, and Dutch was an interesting person that I got to know, even though he had some mobility problems. He had suffered these or acquired these by being in World War II and was not able to get around. But they used to come and listen and watch and nod when we did something they approved of and shook their head when we didn't and would give comment. So I've been a person who would promote public input. I've always thought that the public input is one of those things where the speakers that come to you, or some of them are negative because they didn't vote for you and they want to inform you of something they feel you should know. You cut them off and you have doubled their distaste for you. Or they might be a person who did vote for you and they come trying to feel like these are the people that I voted for and I have a right to speak to them. But if you cut them off, you've made an enemy. I've had 3 conversations in which people at a public event didn't listen to what was being said. One was when we were doing the Wall Lake cleanup. There were 5 or 6 groups who were involved. One of them was always against everything. They were loaded for bear, went to a meeting with a recording machine. I said something and they decided I was up for impeachment. One thing led to 2. They went to the state's attorney. They gave him the tape. This is what he said. When you listen to it, what I said was what I said, and they went off half-cocked without asking for clarification on what had been said. Another time I was introduced as a Minnehaha County Commissioner, and across the room someone said, "What does Minnehaha mean?" And I said, "Small laugh." Sometimes acoustics don't help you. An hour later somebody said, "Why did you say small ass?" I said, "I did not." But they didn't ask for clarification. As a teacher at USF, I was standing about where the mayor is, and there's a tiered lecture hall. Someone asked a question. I responded. Everybody went dead. I stepped out and asked, "What did you say?" They said what they said. I heard something different. We got the clarification. We got it squared away. If you don't understand something, ask. Because the moment to clarify and rectify a situation isn't 2 or 3 hours later. Now, if you want to really stifle free speech, first of all, what you do is you make sure everybody has to have a utility bill from Sioux Falls, and then you make sure they have to have a Sioux Falls ID. Make sure that they register 2 weeks in advance, and then make it the last piece of every meeting, put your public input, so that you can say, anybody wishing to speak, meeting adjourned. People like free speech. People feel that it is a sacred right that they have to be able to address their elected leaders. And we all come and do such. And if you can't take as Truman said, if you can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen. You have to be willing to listen to what the people say. Because most of the time, the people who are out here are either hired by the city, or they have a piece of information, or they have something on the agenda that they're here to direct. The people who come with any regularity those are the watchdogs, cats, whatever else. And they want to be able to feel that you are doing the job that you were elected to do. Excuse me, but I'm getting into the Bernie thing. Anyhow, remember, I was looking for some quotes, and one of the things that astounded me, supposedly, one thing that I could agree with when Jesse Ventura said, "Learn from history or you're doomed to repeat it." And we all know that Jesse Ventura is a sage seer and a philosopher of great renown. Thank you very much.
Ms. Colby, thank you very much. Folks, welcome.
Greetings. My name is David Zokaitis. Now, the last time I was here, after the meeting, talking about gay chickens and gay dogs and stuff, somebody came up to me and told me that I was a colorful individual and I should come back next time with a Hawaiian shirt on. So I kind of thought that was a good idea. Came back with an Hawaiian shirt because I like color. Anyway, I have an interest in communication between government and citizens. And, we all do, that's why we're here. But I have a simple recommendation that would allow for improved communication. The meeting is all well and good, and public input is all well and good, but for me, the most valuable part of the whole evening is the few minutes I get after the meeting to actually have a real conversation with a council member. I think that is the most beneficial part of the whole show. But my ability to do so is kind of squished due to time constraints frequently. The city clerk wants to go home, wants to get everybody out the door. Well, I can see why, but I think if we could make a general rule of thumb that the building is available for conversation for maybe half an hour after the meeting, I think that would be tremendously valuable, at least valuable to the people who want to carry on with the conversation. I don't think it would cost a whole lot, a little bit of extra time. The lights don't cost much, but it would be a valuable way to improve communication between government and citizens. And with that, have a good evening.
Welcome.
Hello, my name is Mary Fleming from Sioux Falls. My issue concerns a problem I have seen with the ongoing construction of the indoor aquatic center. I work at least 4 nights a week, including weekends. My drive home takes me to Western between 22nd and 26th, which means I am driving by the construction site of the pool. Imagine my disbelief and frustration when between 11:30 p.m. and 12 a.m., I come upon the site lit up as if a large UFO has landed. It appears as if every light in the building is turned on, and these are huge hanging lights shining brightly. I'm wondering what the cost of the electricity burning these lights must be. What could the monthly bill be for such a nightly display? Next, I wonder, why are these lights even on? How much have the city taxpayers spent so far in this outrageous and unnecessary expense? I wanted to make the city council aware of this situation, and hopefully some action will be taken, and someone will, as my parents used to say, turn off the lights. Thank you.
Mary, thank you as well.
Tim Stanga, Sioux Falls. I had some residents of Sioux Falls contact me. They've had some problems with neighbors on yard waste, cars in the driveways, cars sitting beside garages. I give them phone numbers to call, and they call them and they say, well, you got to call this guy. Well, then they call that guy, and then they got to call this guy. I guess my question is do we have one person that we got to call to be able to get houses cleaned up? I told them, I said it should be one phone call, and it should be able to give the complaint, and then they should come out and look at it. That's the way it normally is. I explained it to them, but they told me that no, we've got to make several phone calls, and we still have not got it resolved because the person we call says we got to call this person and this person. I don't know what's going on. The other thing is I wanted to bring up the ambulance issue. Just because one ambulance is more expensive than the other ones that have bid on the ambulance doesn't mean that an ambulance service is not going to be able to give quality or better service than what we have. And I believe that what we have now is not up to standard, because when we didn't have these people and the other ambulance service was in there, never did hear that an ambulance never went to a call. Even the citizens of Sioux Falls voice their opinion on that. I talked to a lot of people during the day, and they even asked that same question, so I think it's something we got to look into. Another issue was I expect to be criticized when I come up here, because there's things that I say, there's things that I do that a lot of people don't like, which is fine. I still put my pants on the same way you guys do. I throw my shoes on the same too. But when it comes down to when we start criticizing, when we have people that are criticizing some of the city council, either on the radio or in front of a forum, that's wrong. And I think they're owed an apology. Because these city councilors are doing their job. They were hired by the citizens of Sioux Falls to do a job. Now, whether we look at it as a team or whatever, no, these people were hired by the citizens of Sioux Falls. It's not a team. It might be a team effort. But these people are hired by the citizens of Sioux Falls, and I think that should be respected. You know, a lot of things were said the other time. But when things were voted on, it wasn't passed by the last city council. It was passed by the mayor. It was a 4-4 vote. Manager at risk. It was a 4-4 vote, and the mayor brought it through. So I just want people out here to realize that it wasn't the last city council that voted on it. Another thing I want to just tell the citizens of Sioux Falls, watch what goes on tonight. Watch who comes up and talks. Just watch what's going on. I noticed that the newspaper even came out and talked about the trio of the rubber stampers. They're starting to realize it now too. The citizens realize it too, and I think things have to change here. We have to start working as citizens of Sioux Falls and be there for all citizens of Sioux Falls, not special people. Thank you.
Thanks, Tim.
Y'all come back now. Here.
What kind of morons run this outfit?